Yes. Happy New Year's to everybody. And it's 2025, and we have a lot to talk about here regarding what Nick Sirianni said on WIP. We're going to go over Vic Fangio's press conference and Eagle fans going back and forth on what this team is going to do this coming Sunday when it comes to, do you let the players play, or you want to break this record, or you sit everybody out and just play it safe? We're going to talk about it right now, so let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. This video is sponsored by BetUS, so definitely go check them out, please. Now, we have a lot to discuss here. Obviously, the Eagles clinched the second seed. The Eagles, most likely, from what it looks like, will face the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, depending on this Washington versus Cowboy game the last week of the season. But the Eagles are sitting pretty clear right now in that second seed, and they're pretty much figuring out what they're going to do this week. Now, Nick on Monday didn't say much, didn't know what they were going to do. Nick was on WIP the other morning and said, still thinking through a little bit, take a lot into account. What's the best thing for the team? And also, what's the best thing for the individuals going for the record? Sirianni adds he'll likely talk to everybody, including Howie and obviously Jeffrey Lurie. Okay, so this is obviously a big decision. Okay, I'm on the fence with a lot of things, okay? This team hasn't had a bye week since week 5, and that's an early bye week. And that's tough to have a season the way you're having this year. I think health-wise, they've been pretty damn good. Guys have come back at the right time, and, you know, the Eagles have been really smart handling their roster when it comes to specific players, okay? But there's two flips of the coin to this whole entire thing. Okay, one is Saquon's record, because if Saquon's record is intact for 101 yards you need on Sunday, you have to play your whole offense, okay? It might not take that long, you know what I mean? We don't even know if Jalen Hurts is even playing this week, and I think he really has to play. Cannot keep your quarterback out 3 weeks. That I'm totally going to be like, yes, he has to play, okay? I don't care if it's a series. I don't care if it's two. I mean, something. He's got to do something in this game. I don't care if it's for one play, just something. Okay, so I think that's really important. Okay, I think the players are really honing together to want to play in this game. And I'm not even saying they got to play for 2 halves, play for a full game, at least play for a half offensively. The defense, it's really up to Fangio and the coaching staff, but I would say a lot of the defensive players are probably going to rest. And I think you really do need that. Let's see what we have in some of the other guys, you know, for the last game. Just like we saw what we got out of Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett. You know what I mean? Let's see what we have on the back end of our defense, who looks good, and you know what I mean? So see some guys make some noise maybe in that last game that get a little bit of attention for the coaching staff for next offseason. So it's always a great thing to see backups play for the last game in that regard. But for me, it's totally like I think the offense has to play. I think Saquon needs to play. Here's the thing that everybody is getting crazy about, especially with Saquon Barkley. Okay, don't even talk about the record. Okay, it's nothing to do with the record. It does, but this is what I'm going to say. Okay, when Saquon and the way he prepared for games with the Giants to what he prepares with the Eagles, and how it's a difference from night and day, because how many hits did Saquon Barkley take with the Giants in the backfield? How many times does Saquon Barkley need to get prepared for taking a big hit in the backfield, trying to make a guy miss in the backfield, where there was a couple seasons where he's had some big injuries, okay, with the New York Giants. With the Philadelphia Eagles, everyone's saying, well, look at all the carries, 340-something carries, whatever he's had for this season with over 2,000 yards. Now, people are saying that he's in a danger zone right now of his rushes, but he's honestly not. Especially last week and the week before that, because there was a lot of handoffs. Yeah, it may look crazy he's had over 30 handoffs, but at the same time, a lot of these 30 handoffs were a 1 yard, 2 yard gain, -1, you know what I mean? Like things like that. So he's not taking much of a beating at times. But you have to say this too, like Saquon has been able to replenish his body and has been able to stay healthy for this long because he hasn't got hit getting to the second level. I mean, he's been pretty much protected until he gets to the second level, and that's huge for a running back. That's huge for a running back. This is why he's been able to stay healthy for this long. So I don't think not playing Saquon is the right choice. I might be a little bit greedy. I might want to go after this. You know what I mean? I think they just have to play and they have to stay focused, because as soon as they rest up for too long, I'm not saying that, I think Saquon will have some rest during the playoff practice week or something like that. I think these guys have to play. Like I said, play him for a quarter, play him for a half, and rest them after that, whatever the case may be. If Jalen Hurts is getting hit too many times in this game, for some reason it's happening, you take him out of the game as fast as possible. That's how you really have to treat it. We have to grow a pair of balls to go into this last game. Okay? We have to grow a pair of balls going to this game, because I don't want them to sit so much. Yeah, healthy is healthy and great, but at the same time, I don't want them to have a slow start in the playoff game. From training camp to the regular season, you can afford to sit starters for 4 weeks, 3 weeks with the 3 preseason games we had. You can afford to do that. But in play from now, this last game, with no bye week, going to the playoffs, you can't afford to sit guys for too long. Hence, you don't want to sit Jalen Hurts for a third week, and you got to keep their bodies moving. You can't just stop them and sit them for literally 2 weeks. I don't care if they practice in the what do you think these practices are going to look like during the playoffs? They're not going to be hard practices. They're not going to be, you know what I mean? So I think you have to play guys. Defensively, I think they could sit guys. I think they can afford to do that. They can't sit everybody, but they could, allow some guys to come up and do some things and have some a lot of good reps. But offensively, I think they have to play. Like I said, doesn't have to be for long. But like I said, you gotta keep everybody's bodies moving. You can't just stop now and then let them sit this week. Sit them through, this game, and then a whole week of playoff practice, and then they go into this playoff game and they look like hell, and they're playing from behind once again. Okay, because I think the last couple weeks the last few weeks they've been a lot better not playing from behind. Okay, they obviously had a slow start with a different quarterback last week, and the week before. Obviously after Jalen Hurts got hurt, things started slowing down. Obviously, in that game versus Washington. But that's where I'm kind of at with this whole entire decision going forward. So I think guys really need to play. I think we need to grow a pair of balls and play some guys for a quarter to a half and call it a day. I'm not saying to play them an entire game, okay? There's a risk every day. There's a risk anybody can get hurt. There's a risk when I walk out my door and a car doesn't hit me middle of the road. I mean, it's just, you can't live off of what ifs. The Eagles, they got to stay consistent on these games, on the practices, on everything. They got to keep their bodies moving in this moment, because once they rest for too long, and great, they're healthy, but man, they're going to look like crap in that playoff game, and that's what I really don't want going into it. So hopefully I explained that enough, and that's where we're at right now. And on top of everything else, not only is the game versus the New York Giants at 1 o'clock, now they're in the black on black. I totally forgot that they haven't even wore these jerseys. I wasn't even thinking about it. Okay. Eagles are in all black uniforms. Okay. A blackout in Philadelphia versus the New York Giants. Now fans are starting to speculate, they're in the blackout mode. I mean, I think they're going to play people. Like, why would they dress in these uniforms? I don't think uniforms have anything to do with it, but I thought it was really interesting. So they will be on black. We'll see how that goes. I want to go over Fangio's press conference because I thought this was really interesting. A few things, nothing crazy. He really gave a lot of respect, to Nick Sirianni, saying he's gotten this team really mentally and emotionally ready every single week. He knows what he has to say. He thinks he's done a fantastic job with the team going into games, going into weeks, coming out of losses, coming out of wins. And I got to say, I agree. Nick Sirianni is a tone setter. There are things that he's done in the past where we questioned, or, it happens. We always do that with him sometimes because he's crazy. But I actually liked what Fangio had to say about him. And obviously it helps his players, and you know what I mean? It helps really the mindset going into games. And and we're fighting for each other. And if someone throws a punch, we're going to throw a punch back. That's what we didn't have last year, and I appreciate that. Now, somebody asked a question of why Avonte Maddox came in at backup safety. Now it looks like Maddox was getting more reps than Trisha McComm. McComm the last couple weeks hasn't been good, man. Gave up a couple touchdowns in the Washington. I mean, after Chauncey got kicked out of that game and McComm came in, he looked really bad in the tackling, looked really bad on obviously a couple touchdowns that he gave up there. But Maddox seems like, it looks like Fangio said, hey, he's been practicing a lot better at safety. So we're putting him in as the backup safety as of right now. I know none of us are even happy about that, because even if he is a safety, or maybe he is better at safety than inside corner, hopefully he makes some good tackles. I mean, he's been on special teams doing some good things there, but it's Avonte Maddox at the end of the day. He's only here for the year, and that's really it. This is probably the last time he's in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform, unless he's here for depth in the future. I don't know, but we'll see when the time comes. So talked about that. And obviously Bryce Huff, okay? Obviously his first game coming back. He had a couple pressures in the game. Looks like Fangio did say that he looked like he was a little off. He had a slow start in the game, and I know he had an injury after a couple plays. It was like a shoulder injury or something like that. And then Bryce Huff came back later on. So Bryce Huff was actually getting some pressure in the game. I actually went over, I saw some tape of him, and he didn't look that bad coming back. Like he said, he's missed a few weeks of football, so it's going to take him a little bit more getting into this rotation. The only thing I question is I hope he's not getting more snaps than Nolan Smith. And, I know Fangio's going to do the right thing. If he's not doing a great job, he's going to lessen his snaps in the rotation. Nolan Smith should obviously be getting more of the bulk of things with 6.5 sacks and a couple forced fumbles on the. I mean, Nolan Smith has been absolutely amazing for an actual first year. I don't even count last year as his first year, the way they treated him last year. But glad that he is coming on strong. Josh Sweat, quiet but deadly at times, where he just comes out of nowhere. And he's almost got double-digit sacks for the season. He's doing a really good job. You know what I mean? So the loss of Brandon Graham, the loss of obviously, some players that we have this season, we might get some reinforcements back, which is great. But Bryce Huff, I mean, it's nice to add another guy into the rotation. What we can't really regard what he's getting paid, but look, Hassan Reddick has literally a half sack with the Jets right now for 8 games he's played. Okay. And, Bryce Huff has actually played better. It doesn't excuse why they paid him that much, but all we're really asking of Bryce Huff is to play up to like 15 to 20% of what Brandon Graham would put into this edge rushing position. And I think we'll be fine. Take the money out of it. We just need to think Bryce Huff is in the rotation. Let him just thrive in the rotation and do some good things for this defense. There were times where he was taking some double teams, kind of fell to the ground, so he wouldn't get moved. He wouldn't get moved off the line and kind of create a disturbance within the protection there. So I thought that was really good. So we just got to give it more time with him, most likely. Okay. Now there was news. Okay, Joe, everyone's gonna be like, Joe, what are you saying here? Okay, this just popped in my head because I thought this was interesting. Okay, Ezekiel Elliott looks like he got released by the Cowboys. Obviously, this was a 1-year thing. We all know that Zeke's not the same player that he used to be. But the Cowboys did put out a little thing saying, Zeke might want to have an opportunity to pursue a playoff contender, sign with a team that's in the playoffs or something like that. So, maybe they were going to hang on to Zeke. Maybe they weren't going to. Maybe, this is all BS. I don't know. But maybe Zeke has interest to try to join another team if there's teams that have interest. And with Will Shipley not getting the snaps that he's getting, this really wouldn't be a bad signing, even if he's on practice squad. Even if he's on the practice squad throughout training, throughout the playoffs or something where they can elevate him if they really need him. You know what I mean? I mean, look, I know they might like Davis Price better. They might like Lou Nichols better. I don't know. They might like some other backs that they have better than Zeke, but at least for a ground for pound, physical guy on short yardage, this could be a guy they could use if that's the case. Will Shipley's coming off a concussion. It's already enough he's not getting snaps. He's got special team snaps or whatever, so I don't expect Will Shipley to even touch the ball. It's unfortunate because I feel like they wasted Will Shipley, but at the same time, like, you're putting in so much with Saquon Barkley this year, and obviously Gainwell has turned around and has looked really good in some games and has really surprised me by some games he's played, and how Kellen's really used him to his full strength, not just a inside zone fucking runner. Like even in the passing game with these guys, it's been absolutely amazing. So with Zeke as of right now, like I honestly think it wouldn't be a bad signing. Now, if they don't do it, do I care? No, definitely not. Don't care about it at all. You know what I mean? So we'll see where this goes, but I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. Not anybody really cares at this point, but I don't think he'd be bad as a 3-back. And God forbid Kenneth Gainwell has a concussion, or you never know what happens. You know what I mean? And you got Zeke right there that could, obviously Saquon will get a bulk of the rushes regardless. And if you want to use Zeke, then fuck it. Use him on short yardage and let him bull rush and do his thing. So potentially this wouldn't be as horrible as everyone makes it look out to be. So we'll see how it goes in the meantime going forward. So not too bad. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Michael Clay, okay, the special teams coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we know that Jake Elliott took over the kicks because Devontae Turpin, okay, for the Dallas Cowboys, the number one kick returner in the NFL, we want to keep him out of, obviously, we want to make sure we're not kicking to the 5, the 10, the 15, like that. Like last week in that game with Braden Mann, that was horrible, okay? I mean, Washington, especially in that Washington game, they had, to the 5th, their keys kicking to the 10, the 15, even the last drive, he doesn't even kick it in the end zone, which I didn't really get. But I think Elliott kicking on kickoff is great because it keeps his leg nice and warm for the game, and I'll feel a lot better. And his kicks were money last week. They were money that entire time, which was great against the Dallas Cowboys. So I feel like when you're kicking that much, which is a great thing, you're not running cold the entire game, and Elliott will have a chance to, he'll feel a lot more comfortable and better kicking 50 plus. We'll see. He didn't kick 50 plus last week, but that's where I'm kind of getting nervous with him right now. But Michael Clay comes out and says, they only put him on the kicks. They only put Jake Elliott on the kicks because they had Turpin. Like, that's the only reason why he was there. I mean, man, Jake Elliott, man, like, if that's the case and you're not going to put Jake Elliott doing kicks now on kickoff, it's going to make me really nervous going into these games, and not knowing what's going to happen, man, because I'm sorry, but I don't know if I trust him, dude. I'm I'm on thin ice with him right now on whether he can really make some things happen for us, because we might need him. With the offense that you have, and hopefully with the right play calling behind it, you might not need him at all, just obviously for the extra points, but you might not need him for a 50-plus yarder, but there may be that time where the Eagles are going to need him, and if he's barely even kicking, he's got to go crazy on that playoff practice that week and kick 50 plus, 52. You don't want to tire yourself out for the week, but you got to do something. Okay, and I think that's a really important thing going forward with Jake Elliott. So for him just to use Jake Elliott for that game, for that reason, because of Turpin, I think that's really stupid. He should be doing it every week then. If it's going to help Jake Elliott and Braden Mann is just going to punt, that's perfectly fine. I got no issue with it whatsoever. Okay, let Braden Mann punt and let him be the holder on field goals or extra points or whatever. So that's where the direction I would go. Michael Clay hasn't really been on my radar too much, and I wonder what they're doing, especially with what are they going to do with Cooper DeJean on punt returns? It's a whole nother thing too, man. Like, I don't want him to take an unnecessary hit. I'm already still nervous. He's still been the punt returner still, okay? And that's a little scary, as of right now. Britton Covey, I think he's a full go. I mean, he could have been a punt returner last week, so I wonder if they're liking DeJean a lot better. And yes, DeJean did it in college. And obviously, Britton Covey did it in college as well. He's been a kick returner, a punt returner, a running back, a wide receiver. He's been Britton Covey has been every position when he played for the University of Utah. So, so I don't know which direction they're going to go here, but be very careful with Cooper DeJean. We really need him in this defense, man. Cannot afford for any injuries or anything like that, for any unnecessary hits. So that's where I'm at with the Michael Clay special teams situation. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We talked about, obviously, Fangio press conference, Nick's statement, and what I think of how they should play some of their guys. If it's not for a half, if it's not for a whole game, I'm fine with it. Okay, but I think they need to keep themselves focused on what they're doing and not rest too much. You got to realistically, you have a few weeks of football left. Realistically, if you can make it through the whole thing, get to the Super Bowl, and realistically, you'll have some time to do some things and rest up there. But this is where I'm at, and we'll see what happens in the meantime going forward. And that's it. You guys have a fantastic day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you definitely hit the like button. It helps out tremendously. And I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes it up. Follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.